I've been running with the Rebel for 3 months now, and while it started out very good, it's only gotten better with age. This is the Rebel version 4 after 100 miles. Yo, what's going on? My name is Kofuzi and I'm a non-elite runner who reviews running shoes here on YouTube. And today I want to talk to you guys all about the New Balance Rebel version 4 after 100 miles. But before I give you my thoughts on this shoe and how it's been holding up over time, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that New Balance sent to me for the purpose of review, so I did not have to pay for these shoes. However, nobody's paying me to make this video or to include their shoe in this video, and no one's gonna get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the New Balance Rebel version 4 after 100 miles. And for these update review videos, I like to talk about how I've been using the shoe, how they've been holding up, and then I will update the buying guide and the pairing recommendations. First, let's talk about how I've been using the shoe. I think the ideal use case for this shoe for me is an easy run with strides or a longer easy run, and that's primarily where I've been using this shoe and reaching for the shoe with excitement. Now, this is a PIBA EVA blend shoe, and initially when I heard that, I thought that maybe this is some sort of half measure, cost saving measure, something about not using full PIBA and instead mixing in some EVA in there to kind of make it a little bit more manageable in terms of cost and production. But over time, I've turned around on this and I'm starting to think that the PIBA EVA blend is a feature and not a flaw. I think that PIBA, while it grabs your attention and it is that recognizable compound name that we all get really excited about, I feel like for a shoe that's intended to be a daily trainer, and New Balance tells me every year that the Rebel is supposed to be a daily trainer, for something like that, having the EVA in there kind of mellows the PIBA in a really nice and desirable way. Because PIBA is intended as a racing foam. It's supposed to compress quickly and decompress quickly, but I think by adding in the EVA, it kind of slows things down just a little bit. It changes the compression and decompression rates in just the right amount, so that way when I'm taking this for an easy run or when I'm taking it for a long run, the shoe feels just right underfoot. But I also feel like the shoe is still snappy when you're trying to pick up the pace. And I think that's the PIBA part of the shoe that really starts to shine when you're trying to move a little bit faster. The shoe just kind of understands what you're trying to do and it gets out of your way. I find that the shoe is really quick when you need to change the pace quickly. I was able to wear this as I was filming the pro marathoners at the marathon trials in Orlando, and it had no problem keeping up, or at least the shoes didn't have any problem keeping up with me trying to keep up with them, which was definitely hard for me to do because they're pro marathoners and they are super fast. And in other instances where I've taken the shoe out for strides or shorter pickups of speed, I feel like the shoe just kind of disappears away and just becomes a part of your foot that lets you turn your legs over very quickly, and the shoe feels much lighter than it may indicate on the scales. Now let's talk about the wear and tear and how the shoe's been holding up over the last 100 miles. And I'll admit, there is a lot of visual creasing that's going on in the shoes, and mine definitely look a little bit on the grimy side. It just looks like it's in much worse shape than it actually is. It feels fine. It still feels like a very fresh foam. It doesn't feel like the foam has changed substantially from when I had it right out of the box. So it looks like it's taking a little bit of a beating, but in terms of performance, it still feels fresh, it still feels snappy, and it still feels like it's really great for absorbing impact. The foam is still giving me a very consistent experience. Now, the upper has molded itself to my foot. Even though it feels like it's never really touching my foot, it has molded itself to my foot a little bit, and so the shape of the shoe has changed slightly, but overall, the materials themselves are holding up really well. I'm not seeing any excess wear that's happening, and overall, the shoe still feels very comfortable, and it has just the right amount of padding, and that's all holding up really well too. Moving to the outsole, there is not a lot of visual wear happening on the rubber. And even the exposed foam here is holding up really well too. So I'm very surprised at how well this shoe is holding up, especially considering that it's been a big change in terms of the amount of rubber coverage we are seeing in the Rebel in this year versus some of the previous years, which have had pretty much full rubber coverage. I'm glad to see that they're getting rid of some of it without sacrificing traction or durability. Now let's close out the video by updating the pairing recommendations and talking about the buying guide. Now in the initial review video, I gave you the pairing options of the SC Elite version 4 and the Takumi Sen 10. I still think that those are really great pairing options, but I'll give you two more. I think for a racing shoe to go along with the Rebel version 4, I think you're gonna be very excited to run in the Metaspeed Sky Paris. People who are enjoying the forefoot mechanics of the Rebel version 4 are really gonna love the forefoot mechanics of the Metaspeed Sky Paris. And it's a super featherweight shoe that this year has a more forgiving fit in the upper, so I feel like it's gonna be a good pair. And for your speedy workouts, I'm gonna point you to the SC Pacer. Now this is the original version of the SC Pacer. There is a new one coming out later this year. I don't have that one in for testing yet. So until then, I'm gonna continue to recommend the SC Pacer for those faster workouts where you might want a little bit of carbon and something that's a lot lower and closer to the ground. Now, this is something that I wouldn't necessarily take for mile repeats or a lot of long runs at marathon or half marathon effort. But if you've got something that's VO2 max range, then the SC Pacer is gonna be really fun. I actually picked up a pair of these for my daughter in her track season for this year. I don't really want her running in spikes yet. And I feel like that's going to be a really nice, speedy, aggressive option. Now let's talk about the buying guide and some alternatives that you may want to consider. The New Balance Rebel version 4 retails at $140 and it's still pretty new in terms of when it has been released. And so I don't think that you're going to be seeing it on sale in the US anytime soon. $140 is a lot, but it seems to be the going rate for flagship daily trainers. And so I feel like the price is right, but let's take a look at some of the competition. In my earlier review, I gave you the options of the Nova Blast 4 and the Mox X to consider. Now I'm going to switch out the Mach X at this point and point you instead toward the Mach 6, which has released since my initial review. I feel like these two shoes are offering slightly different experience. The Mach 6 definitely has a little bit more spring to it. It's got a little bit more bounce than the Control of the Rebel version 4, but I feel like both of these shoes are lightweight and exciting daily trainers that can pick up the pace really well. So I feel like these two shoes do go head to head in terms of what they're trying to achieve, and which one you like more is going to come down a lot to a matter of preference. The Hoka Mach 6 comes in at $140, so the same price as the Rebel version 4. And the other shoe that I think is worth mentioning here is the On Cloud Surfer. Now this is another shoe that is really soft and comfortable, and I think that it doesn't have the top end that the Rebel version 4 does, but I find that it is a much more comfortable shoe for easy running and long runs. And so I feel like this is another shoe that you should take a look at if you're looking for a shoe that's going to be comfy for your easy days, but also you might want to get some casual wear use out of it. The On Cloud Surfer is a bit more expensive, coming in at $160. So those are my thoughts on the Rebel version 4 after 100 miles. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions, or better yet, stop by the live stream that I do Monday through Friday over on the Kofuzi Run Club channel. I'd love to talk to you guys over there in the chat. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I will see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?